Oh yeah, my dudes and dudettes, I am excited because today we're checking out the Soldano Astro 20 amplifier. This is gonna be a lot of fun, but let's jump in right away with a high gain demo. Check it out. Awesome, so that was my Schecter E1 Apocalypse Red Rain, one of my favorite guitars, through the Astro 20 on the Gain 2 channel with the Red Galaxy. For a nice and tight sort of dry and thrashy crunch. Loved it. I thought it sounded really good, and I think that we can already conclude that this amplifier does high gain tones really well. But of course we're going to do many more tones in this video, so stick around. So recently I got my very first Soldano ever, the SLO 30, which is up there somewhere. A wonderful amplifier that I love a lot. If you're interested, you can check out my initial review of that amplifier up here or down here. But then the wonderful and kind folks over at Bad Amps or Boutique Amp Distribution also sent me the Astro 20, this lovely amplifier over here, which of course was recently released. So many thanks to the folks over at Bad. I really appreciate you guys. Now you guys probably already know this, but it's a 20 watt amplifier equipped with two V6 tubes in the power section. And on the one hand, it does all the typical Soldano things, but on the other hand, it's really modern and super flexible, and it has some great features, but most of all, tonally, there's such a wide range of tones. There truly is a galaxy or multiple galaxies of tone in this amplifier. And that's basically what I want to explore today, okay? So this amplifier essentially has three channels. There is the clean channel and the two gain channels. Now the clean channel has all the main controls over here on the left side of the front panel. And in terms of the controls, it's a quite simple channel, but you can get a wide range of tones out of it. So the clean channel basically corresponds with the green galaxy. So if you switch the galaxies over here, you get a different color, okay? And when you set it to the clean channel, the galaxy is green. And then these controls over here basically are your tone shaping controls. So the main controls are the volume and tone control over here. And then of course also the master volume and presence controls are active. Now the tone control is very cool. All the way to the left, it makes the sound more warm and sort of dark. And all the way to the right, it really opens up the tone and introduces more treble and mids. So it's more than just a sort of treble filter, okay? And then there's also this three-way bright switch over here, which I really appreciate, especially on clean channels. It has three settings, neutral, and then setting 1 and setting 2. And setting 2 is quite bright, but I love that, especially for neck pickups. Now let's try the clean channel with one of my favorite guitars for clean tones, my ESP LTD Phoenix 1000 Deluxe, the red one with the Fishman Fluence modern pickups in it. On the Alnico neck pickup, just love that sound. It's a warm and thick sound, but still with plenty of chime, and I really want to open that up with the bright switch on the most aggressive setting, so the setting to the right. I'm also going to test out the effects loop, which of course this amplifier has, and I'm going to put the Walrus Audio Fundamentals Reverb in the loop just for some nice ambience. And by the way, for all the tones in this video, this amp is being fed through my RedSeven Amplification Amp Central reactive load and through various OwnHammer impulse responses. Okay, let's go ahead and check it out right now. Beautiful. I must say that I really like this clean channel a lot, especially with the bright switch set to the most aggressive setting for neck pickups. It's just so piano-like and the chime is amazing. Now, to give you an idea of how the controls affect the tone on the clean channel, I'm going to loop some riffs that were recorded with my Les Paul Custom on the neck pickup, and I'll just dial in the controls so you guys can hear how they affect the tone. Take a listen. Nice. Now let's move on to the dirty stuff, okay? And we basically have two drive channels, gain 1 and gain 2, but you can basically get all the same tones out of each, depending on how you dial them in and how you set them up. And the cool thing is that the gain channels give you access to 3 different Galaxies, so basically 3 different levels of gain, okay? So if we move to channel 2, then we can switch the Galaxies from blue, which is kind of a low gain crunch sound, to purple, which is a sort of middle of the road high gain-ish sound, to red, which is the most high gain sound of them all. And trust me, red has plenty of gain on tap for the most brutal stuff you can imagine. There's also a 3-band EQ, of course, shared between the 2 gain channels, and then each gain channel has an individual gain and volume control. And of course, the master controls like the master volume and the presence are also active here. And I should not forget the depth switch as well, which we have over here, again with 3 settings: neutral, then with a boosted setting with extra depth, and another setting with even more depth. So similar to what the bright switch does. And for me personally, I tend to prefer the depth setting on the middle setting, so that's to the left. But this thing has all the low end you would want, and I know that it's a low wattage amplifier, but trust me, this thing has a lot of balls. It has a lot of thick low end if you want it, and it's also pretty loud for a low wattage amplifier. Let's try a classic crunch with my Les Paul Standard 60s with the Seymour Duncan JB pickup in the bridge with the gain 1 channel on the blue Galaxy, so the low gain mode, for a nice classic British crunch. And let's see if this amplifier can handle such a tone. Let's check it out. Well, yes, that was a wonderful, wonderful crunch. Kind of like a more refined British crunch. Love that texture, and I love the warmth in the mids and that sort of nice harmonic content. And it does the chime, but without ever getting harsh. So I must say that I absolutely love the crunch sounds on this amplifier as well. Now let's move on to the purple Galaxy for a sort of modern rock tone. And for this tone, I'll use my ESP LTD EC1000T in charcoal burst with the Fishman Fluence classic open core pickups on the bridge pickup on the hot routed humbucker mode. And let's see how that sounds, not with too much gain dialed in. Check it out. Great, a wonderful sound, and again, that gain character is just so wonderful and rich. Love it. It feels great to play through, and again, the texture that it has is just so nice. Yeah, I just love this thing. Now let's get heavier with the red channel, which you also heard in the intro track. And now let's try a different guitar, my ESP LTD NW44 with the bare knuckle Aftermath pickup in it, which is a great sounding pickup, especially for aggressive music. It has a lot of clarity. And what I'll do now, as opposed to the track in the intro, is I'll set the depth control to the maximum setting for maximum depth, because in the intro track, I believe I had it set to the left setting, so the middle setting. Let's see how that sounds. Check it out. Very nice. So plenty of chunk and saturation, but still you can hear all the notes. So that's a really nice combination. Sometimes with very clear and articulate amplifiers, you kind of get a little bit of a harsh tone, or the tone gets a little bit too thin. But this amplifier does both. It sounds fat and warm, and it also sounds tight and crunchy. It's a really cool combination of tones. So it's really cool to see how this amplifier responds to different types of guitars and pickups and tunings, and also the cabinet tones, of course. Really nice. Now let's try some active pickups and get more aggressive and more metal. Again, with the Red Galaxy, and the guitar that I'm going to use now is my Schecter E1 SLS, which is a great guitar on the ceramic bridge pickup. And that's a very tight and modern sounding pickup, almost as if it's boosted by a pedal. So I'm going to leave the depth switch to the right setting, which is the most aggressive setting, once again, for that extra thump to sort of complement that tight active pickup sound a little bit. Let's take a listen. Damn, what a wonderful, wonderful tone. So that guitar, or at least guitars with those Fishman Fluence modern pickups, they complement amplifiers like this really well. Love it. And that's without a boost pedal up front at all. So really impressive. Now let's get a little bit lower with a baritone guitar, my ESP LTD EC401B, tuned to drop A flat with EMGs in it, so the 81 in the bridge. Let's see how this amplifier handles all the low stuff without a boost up front. Check it out. Amazing. So I pushed up the gain a bit more to get some more saturation, but there is even more gain on tap if you need it. But for me, this is plenty. Now, another cool thing about this amplifier is that you get this foot switch with it, with these 4 foot switches. It's basically a MIDI controller, and you can basically store your own presets on this switch. So you can choose the channel corresponding to the switch, but also the Galaxy. So you can set it up in multiple ways. So you can do a clean channel over here, for example, and then the gain 1 channel with the blue Galaxy here, for example, and then the gain 1 channel with the purple Galaxy here, and then the gain 2 channel with the red Galaxy here, for example, or in any way you like. So that's really flexible. And another cool thing that this amplifier does is that it has IRs in it for direct and silent recording. And there's a cabinet switch over here that lets you choose between the different preloaded IRs that are in this amplifier. But with the computer editor that you can hook up via USB, you can also load in your own impulse responses and stuff like that. And of course, also create your presets. So that's really nice as well. Now I want to give you an idea of how wide the range of tones is on the gain channels in terms of the amount of gain and the Galaxies, but also in terms of how the controls react and how musical they sound, because all the controls, including the EQ controls, have a very usable and musical range. So that's also really nice about this amplifier. You can really crank the controls and they will still sound natural. I'll use my Les Paul Custom again and just loop the riffs and play around with the controls a little bit. Take a listen. Wow, so that was the Soldano Astro 20. I am impressed. I love this thing, and I think it's super impressive how flexible it is, how versatile it is, and how great it sounds. It's just wonderful, and I have nothing negative to say about this thing. Some people will complain that it's only a 20-watt amplifier, and sure, a 100-watt amplifier will have more headroom and will be a bit louder. But of course, for the people who need that, they still do make the SLO 100. But yeah, I will feature this thing in more videos in the future, as well as the SLO 30. And I'm also going to compare them eventually, so that's going to be fun as well to see if I can match the SLO 30 to this amplifier and see how close I can make them sound. So that's going to be fun. Stay tuned for that as well. And thanks again to the wonderful folks over at Boutique Amp Distribution. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are about this amplifier and what you thought of the tones. And that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe down below, as that really helps the channel out. I would hugely appreciate it. Of course, you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hope to see you soon. Cheers.